Oh boy, Direwolves coming in with the momentum, which is so important in these playoffs, and then Jews halfway through, Chiefs just snatch it away from them.
Yeah, Chiefs show why they're one of the best teams in the league at the moment with their individual ability. Um, but let's back it up. Let's back it up. Let's reverse.
Please, please.
Yep, and let's talk about the draft. So we were talking about this off camera. The thing, and I think the biggest problem that Direwolves have at the moment, and why Claire was able to get his hands on his patented Diana, was because Direwolves have on blue side they must ban Ornn, and that's a very big problem because Ornn is so flexible. You can play at mid, you can play at top. It has really no bad matchup. I think it's maybe the most broken champ, one of the most broken champs in the meta right now. And they have to ban it, which means that Chiefs get a lot of their pocket picks in which, yeah, they just take over the game.
And if you look at the impact of a champion like Diana, as soon as the revert happened to where her dash is now on her E, she doesn't have a bad stage of the game. She has like good stages of the game, then like amazing stages of the game. And she's good in skirmishes, pretty good, around objective team fights as well. And the thing about the Chiefs is that they're just always going to fight. They're like such a fun team to watch because they're kind of predictable in that you know they're going to fight you all the time. But then they're also kind of unpredictable because sometimes you're like, why are they fighting us? Like, do they have extra members here? I can see they have a support bottom lane, which probably means they're 80 carries bottom lane. We've got 4 members on top. Are they just going to try and 3v4 us? And they do it a lot. But the thing about the Chiefs is unless you're Legacy, and I've said this the whole split, unless you're Legacy, when they fight you, they tend to win. Despite the goal differences. So I think giving them a champion like Diana that just wants to brawl at every stage of the game and only gets stronger in the brawl isn't a mistake.
Well, that's a good point as well, because you mentioned halfway through that game spawn that if you're the Chiefs, just because you can fight, doesn't mean you should be fighting.
Yeah, so I was looking at the early game, right, and they really, really clever gank. Level 3 to level 2, Croc comes from bottom side, where they probably weren't expecting him from a Raptor camp as well, because Jarvan generally doesn't invade Raptors. And he burns a flash, and he also burns double potion from the Viger. And then the next play that happens is they fight bottom lane River against an Olaf for no reason. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, what you ideally want to do is if that Veigar doesn't have flash and he doesn't have potions, like, Jews will know even throwing a flag into the lane will probably get you the teleport and all the control of the early game. But the Chiefs, they saw an opportunity and they fought it against Olaf when maybe you shouldn't fight against Olaf.
And it's like they're also fighting around the bot lane who took exhaust. So okay, I'm okay with fighting around the Olaf if you take ignite, but their bot lane went full defensive, and it was a game where they were happy to scale and hit the side lanes because we were talking they're never going to lose a game in side lanes. So it was one of those things where Chiefs may be relying a little bit too much on their fingers and forgetting a little bit about their brain, in which I think that they make very good decisions when they need to, when they're forced to. You know, when the mid game comes and they're at a 5k deficit, they then make good decisions. But what about if we make good decisions in the early game?
Well, it's just much less dramatic then. I think that's the answer.
Yeah, I mean, they're a good soap opera team, right? Like, we get to see them, just come from the brink in more often than not.
And they also are starting to have carries in areas where you maybe didn't expect them to have carries. Because we knew their top... I spoke about their top side of the map. I think that they maybe have the best top side of the map when they're in form, just because I rate Claire probably above Tally, and I know that's going to upset Juves. But I think like their top side of the map gets spoken about a lot. But their bottom side of the map this game, especially Rob Katsuri, played the mid to late game against a comp that is hard to play the mid to late game as Misfortune against, like nearly flawlessly. When Misfortune was just playing front to back against tanks, against Ornn and Set, she was having a really easy time of being able to set up. As soon as the Bruisers came back into top lane, like the Renekton's and the Aatrox, Misfortune's priority actually went down, because if you get flanked and you try and ult, they just one-hit her. She doesn't even get to respond to it, right? But every single fight, Katsuri made pretty good decisions. There was some where he could have been more aggressive, but he never gets caught. This guy is the safest AD carry with a gold lead in the league, up there with Raze.
And when you hear safest ADC, sometimes you think, okay, he's not dying great, but is he doing damage? Like, what's he doing if he's not dying? And like the pentakill speak for itself, sure, but the man's pumping damage. Like the positioning on him to put out bullet time, like he was channeling full bullet times across 4 members, and then once that went down, he's just weaving in auto attacks like perfectly. He's kiting Renekton. I think I've been hypercritical of Katsuri this split because I expect so much from him and CK. CK, for those who don't know, is actually rank 1. Well, it's between Shock and CK being rank 1 on the solo queue ladder right now, and I think finally we're seeing the Chiefs bot lane be the players that they're meant to be. Because Katsuri came off a really good split on Direwolves, started this split a little bit slow. Sure, Croc was just running the show. But we've just seen, I think Katsuri just hit a new stride in these playoffs, and they're really becoming, a bot lane to be reckoned with.
And what do you think that change is? Because as you said, that he didn't have a terrible split.
No.
But he probably wasn't living up to the potential. What has been the change for him?
I think the change is really becoming more comfortable with his laning partner. So CK, for those of you who don't know, is obviously from Korea. His English is fine, like they can communicate, but sometimes if English is someone's second language, it is still hard to communicate, right? And I think Katsuri is someone who, an ADC in general, is someone who sometimes gets micromanaged a little bit by their support in the early game or mid game. Like they're just told where to be, they catch minion waves, and they don't necessarily have any other job. And so I think now that they probably have a system where Katsuri is feeling comfortable, CK is feeling comfortable, and it's just all flowing for them now.
Well, it's good to watch that flow. Just quickly, Spawn, what are Direwolves doing to get back in this? What is the move that they have to make to be able to regain some of the composure that we saw them with the last 3 games of yesterday?
Yeah, there's 3 great top laners ever in the OPL, and it's the weakest position we've ever had in the region. That's Tally, that's Swiper, and that's Chippies. Like, undisputed, they're the 3 best native top laners we've ever had. And Chippies, this game, was really, really bad. And I don't know what it is, but I think that they're not playing his champion pool. Chippies has such a unique champion pool. Like, put him on a Camille, put him on an Olaf, put him back on a Gangplank. Because, like, his Gangplank is really, really good, and I think that you can play around Vital. If I'm the Direwolves, I'm trying to hype Chippies back up. He was instrumental. Like, when he played better against Swiper, when he had that Malphite game, that's what helped them take down Order yesterday. He needs to play better for them to beat the Chiefs.
Just quickly, too, his GP is actually a weak side champion. So it is perfect if they want to play around Vital, and if they want to get Vital involved in a game. I think GP could be the answer to this series for them.
I think we just tilted the shit out of him yesterday with our interview. A reminder to you guys watching, NeoSurf are giving away skins, masterwork, chests, and keys. Head to the OPL Twitter page at OPL to find out how you can win. All you need to do is guess the total game time of the next game. The person who gets it closest wins the ultimate prize, and there's going to be 4 runners-up as well. Thank you very much, NeoSurf. You're the lifeblood of giving away free stuff on this broadcast. Direwolves have chosen the red side. There will be no changes to the team. So let's get into game number 2. It is Chiefs versus Direwolves, game 2, and the Macca's Champ Select.
If you're craving the taste of your favourites, head to Macca's for a fast, safe, and contactless drive-through experience. For your Macca's run, contact-free, we'll be here.
Well, let's crack on in with game number 2 there, Rusty. It was a crazy ending to what was pretty much Direwolves' script. The early game was theirs, the mid game looked to be theirs, and then team fight out of nowhere, and a pentakill happened.
Yeah, Chiefs come at you quick, they hit that Jarvan Diana, that misfortune, they hit a big team fight, and suddenly the game swings on a dime. And that's one of the things that the Chiefs are capable of doing. We could never discredit the individual talent in that roster. I think that goes without saying, and a lot of that individual talent really came up clutch in that game as well, but they still make the decision as a team. They still take that aggressive call as a 5v5 unit, and they're able to pull it back from like a 5,000 gold deficit against the team that is very hard to pull back games against. Direwolves are very reserved, they're good and they're calculated with advantages. not to be seen this time. The Chiefs proved too strong.
That they do, and it becomes a little bit interesting, right? Every single time we get Direwolves on the red side, you think, okay, now the Ornn ban finds that justification. Yes, you get to get those 2 picks right out of the gates, no for Victim to not wanting to play that Ornn as a composition. I'd be quite curious to see what those adaptations in this draft are. The fact that we mentioned at the start of this game that, you know, Akali and Diana, Tien and Claire, when given the chance, they will play them. They banned one, the second was let through, and, you know, to be that far behind, then just get yourself straight back into the game, shows you why they are comforts.
Yeah, and you are seeing a couple of things still get exposed here. You know, the ability to play Diana knowing that Ornn has to be a forced ban, and, you know, things like that start to exist, and they're the tendencies and the problems that a lot of teams will face with specific champion pools. Direwolves are one of those teams. They're still a top 3 team with their play, even with those considerations. But the fact that they have to ban such picks does make life hard for them. They're also, of course, on red side now, so they are going to ban the Ornn. And it does mean that a similar composition is still on the table for the Chiefs. You know, the same composition that won them game 1 is available.
It starts to beg the question now, given how strong Set is, and we tend to see him as this blanket ban, whether or not the Dire will say, we can just let you have that set, we need to ban, you know, these comforts instead. We need to really turn the attention away and have something quirky to go up against it. You know, we've seen the likes of a Singed, a Cassiopeia be there in that top lane, and, you know, it's a very possible strategy if they wanted to flip those lanes. Not necessarily that they will, but to sort of not feel so draft locked in these games as they go by.
It would be nice to not be too locked by draft, but it is one of those considerations that you'll probably still always have for them. Red side does ban their Ornns, does ban their sets. It's just the way that it is, Skimmy. So the Chiefs will take a card from the Direwolves draft playbook, and the Direwolves will do literally the same. We're just swapping names.
We are. We've opened up the draft as if it was game 1 all over again. Now to see what Chiefs look to patch in with this to make it that much easier for
the
the early
Chiefs can't
stages.
flex Olaf. They can't flex Olaf in the way that the Direwolves can. So that's one of the unique
That's one
differences,
thing.
at least, that will be there. So we'll see where they choose to go. You know, Varus always goes with the Tahm Kench. That's not a surprise. It's do they pick a jungler here? Or do they pick a flex champion like a Diana once again, you know, to just get it while it exists?
I mean, look how strong the Tahm Kench was in those early stages of the game. Denied so many crucial kills, which would have really made those guys come online far earlier than they eventually did. What do they decide to pair it with? They go for the Pantheon. And quite honestly, that is the king of the early game.
Yeah, Pantheon, very aggressive. It was actually banned away from them last game, so they'll be very happy to have the pick. What will it provide? Not only a lot of early aggression, but a lot of damage prevention from champions like Misfortune when they use that ultimate, so it does make team fighting a little bit easier to do.
Well, the response really from Cupcake now is he gets to dive into that champion pool. Wasn't able to really punish the likes of Ayla yesterday when he went the likes of the, you know, the Maokai, for instance. Now up against the Tahm Kench, the Bard will find some insane value as we come to the second rotation of the bans. And Yazir denied again.
Yeah, Yazir going to be taken away. Syndra already removed from the mid lane champion pool. Looking at the mid lane champions that are there, you know, Shock's always going to be one of those players that has that unique champ pool. First of all, this Pantheon isn't definitely going mid, as you can see with those bans. Corki is one of the other champions that you could expect to see from them potentially, but Azir was one of those ones that, like, it has engage, it has follow-up, it has teamfight potential there, and you've got some stuns to follow through. So I actually like the LeBlanc ban a little bit more than I would a Corki. Direwolves could even consider playing the Corki themselves, but they have the Bard, it's not the Braum. So again, like, it's possible, their damage is high, and I wouldn't mind it in this draft, but it's not about engage this time, right? It's about the poke.
Well, the Olaf for Chippy's top lane is taken away, as is the Cassiopeia. This will be quite interesting if they are going to dive into that option of going for the Gangplank as that final flex here for Chippies. They're going to pair it with the Orianna again, and especially in Shock's last 2 performances, it was really putting in work when that Shockwave landed.
Yeah, but he's going to be picking this one blind, and, you know, Diana still exists, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that one locked in. You know, Orianna's one of those champions in the early game, can have a lot of lane pressure, but Diana is also a unique champion. We're not sure it's going to be locked in just yet, but it is expected for Claire. And the reason that it's so good is, like, level 3 you can all in now. Like, level 3 you can instantly proc Conqueror with all 3 of your spells. And Orianna, has pretty high cooldowns that early into the game. So it's going to be a little bit harder to navigate than perhaps just putting down a cage if you were the Vega and walking the other way.
With them hovering the Aatrox, I was wondering if we were going to get a Pantheon jungle, but the Elise looks to now be the difference. Well, it's going to be the Trundle in the end, and we've seen Croc find a lot of value on this pick. The Pillar, always utilized to great effect to ensure that the rest of this composition can do their job, but the Subjugate always has to be the talking point. It's not going to be the flex as we'd imagine. Chippies will go for the Malphite, and he is going to look to try and lock members in place, and we're not going to see Flash be used very much. It's going to be permanently on cooldown, I feel here, Rusty.
Yeah, so he's gone for the, let's just call it the reset champion of the Direwolves. He knows his lane matchup now. He's seen the Trundle lock in. He knows it's a Pantheon, and he chooses to go for the Malphite. Now, Pantheon should have a pretty good handle on that lane 1v1. You will start to build armor eventually, and your Pantheon being a lethality builder may not scale into that lane too well. But your opponents aren't the most mobile. Once again, you know, Tahm Kench is, and Juice spoke about this yesterday, it's good into the Malphite because you can eat the person that he ults. You know, often we saw a Locket build from that Tahm Kench as well. Makes things hard, especially even with the Guardian there. But Varus has no mobility, and if the Malphite hits the ultimate, the damage still goes down. And we saw how much damage that Malphite, even with a tank build, was doing in that last game we saw of it.
Yeah, absolutely. The Malphite is always going to be that threat, despite even falling maybe a little bit behind in the 1v1 in that top lane matchup. But, you know, based on what you've seen here that the Chiefs have drafted, do you think they've obviously stuck to what was strong in game number one, but patched those weaknesses to give them a stronger early game?
Yeah, I mean, so the Chiefs have done pretty similar things to game number one for sure. The one change is really in that bottom lane. Misfortune Ultimate is now going to be changed for a Varus engage tool with the chains. I don't mind, again, what the Chiefs have done with their composition at all. It's the Direwolves that you have to look at. And if in this game they get the same lead that they got last game, it is so easy to execute that composition, right? Their damage scales, they are an ultimate-based composition, as is customary for Direwolves, but to the extreme.
Game number 2 in the semi-finals, with Chiefs leading the best-of-5 series currently 1-0. Similar drafts from both teams, but slight tweaks to patch up what was definitely a game of two halves. There's no questioning that one. And it was very much an aggressive start to a best of 5.
The thing with this game, though, and I think that the Chiefs can just adapt the way that they're playing anyway, is like you put a Diana and a Pantheon in the side lane, and you don't actually take that full-on front-to-back 5v5. You've got a Diana against an Orianna who doesn't have the teleport, and you have the Tahm Kench in your composition, so the threat of actually taking you out on a side lane is a lot lower than if the Tahm Kench was on the other side of the coin. The only concern with that is getting that mid lane priority or clearing those waves safely, right? And so this game, if you're a fan of the Chiefs, you'll watch it, as eventually he'll hit that ward. You'll watch this play out, and you'll be hoping that Katsuri, Korea CK, and Croc are able to get to that mid game decently well, so that they can actually enact a 1-3-1 of some kind. But this is an interesting start here. Chippies is just going to ward. I was going to say, you can't really do anything about that. They're going to contest this.
Ward goes down, and a zombie ward is spawned here. And we're going to see a full collapse.
Cupcakes here.
Bard is there. Vital is just 1v2 at the moment in the bottom lane. And the respect will be shown, and Croc will flash away. Now, bear in mind, this is a Predator Trundle.
Yeah, looking to get around the map very quickly. Not going to be the super tanky Trundle. Utility is going to come in from that movement speed. Of course, it's not going to be ganks like a Gragas would work, but it does help you get more actively around the Rift. But still, the way that this has started, you know, Trundle's going to have to take a camp solo. He's going to have to flash away at level 1. And he's probably going to just go for the individual camp clear. He's gone from blue straight to red buff. He may even get active on the map after that red buff, but we'll see, because Mir is active in his jungle.
He is indeed. He's looking to punish Croc there for having to use those summoners very early on. But he's going to acquire double buffs very early into this matchup, make it quite easy for him. The punishment really is that Vital falls behind early on. He's forced to retreat to his turret and use his health bar as a resource as well, down to half now.
Tien very much aware that the Jarvan could be there, especially because Croc is showing in bottom lane, like mentioned, could be very active. He's going for the level 2.
They are indeed. Exhaust goes out from both sides of the coin. First blood is found. Teleport used to great advantages, and Pantheon is going to continue this trend, given that the shield negates all that turret damage.
Yeah, and Mir tries to keep advantages building through the jungle position and forgets about bot lane. Vital's going to cleanse his way to safety there as well. And now a level 2 Jarvan that goes from the enemy wolves to the bot lane outer turret to defend his misfortune. Finally gets here.
And this bot lane is now incredibly doomed as a result of that one. You get Katsuri online. If you get him at the early stages of this game especially, he will utilize the resources that you present to him. Vital does still have the flash, bear in mind, but is going to start to really suffer in this matchup.
Yeah, if he can farm safely under tower, then he would be fine. But as you can tell, they are threatening that fact. They want to get rid of the very form of Bard's existence, which is leaving lane, and making sure that Vital is not safe. And especially with that lack of health that he has, just stuck collecting waves for the moment. Mir's just going to give a quick how you going after going coast to coast looking for those scuttle crabs. Blair's going to hit him up with a bon voyage. That's it. But at the same time, that's all Mir can really hope for, right? The effort of Croc flashing at level 1, it didn't matter. He level 2 ganked, didn't even have pillar, it didn't matter. They still get themselves back on the board, and with no hesitation, put themselves back in the driver's seat of this game.
That they do. Second place prize will go to Mir, who is able to pick up double scuttles for vision control of those all-important objectives. Could be a big deciding factor, a turning point potentially for them, given that they were able to achieve every single dragon before the Elder.
And both top laners definitely want to get around the map once they hit level 6. It's a little bit easier for Pantheon, of course, with that ultimate to cover some extra distance. But Chippies is the one that we'll have to explore for the Direwolves side of the coin here. If he's able to get out of his lane, which, like we mentioned, isn't going to be the easiest thing to do early on into the piece. Will require a little bit of scaling, so maybe some Ninja Tubbies. Maybe even the Barmy Cinder to wave clear a little bit better. Once he has that ability, then maybe he'll start leaving. But TN will keep priority of the lane right now. He was also the one that picks up the kill in bottom lane, so starts to snowball himself. And he'll get 6 first by a while. And he'll be able to get onto the map very quickly.
Yeah. Always going to find great value with not only the teleport, but the ultimate as well. And make Chippy's life incredibly hard from a macro perspective as to how he wants to respond on that front as well. We can see Claire in the mid lane now, able to get a desirable recall. And Shops comes back to the lane with double Dorans now to keep Shock in bay and locked at his tower as well. So priority being found all across the map for Chiefs in this early stage of the match.
Yeah, and then keep your eyes on Croc. He sees all of that priority that he has, goes for a deep control ward into the Direwolves jungle. It's just going to be a very handy control ward that may live for quite some time. Still playing towards the bottom side of the map here, with Drake being the one objective up. Not too surprising. He may even, after clearing that Krug camp, go towards bot lane. Did go for those boots.
Yeah.
So has the Predator available. If you're a gambling man,
you can see that Mir is responding.
Yeah. This should come as no surprise, though. This should be expected. You're looking at what the response is from the Chiefs side. They've lost priority in bot lane. They still have it in mid.
He's going to find himself very healthy in this situation as he's up by, you want to say, around about 10 CS at this stage, so a few extra camp clears. And given that the lane balance is now roughly even in the bot lane, makes it quite easy for him to take that with confidence. But Shock now will be able to get that reset as a result of that objective being secured and come back to this lane with a item advantage over his counterpart.
He's a level down here, Croc, so he's reliant on his bottom lane surely to come to this one, but he's going to be able to bully him out regardless. Mir's just going to go back to base. And you'd say very good work so far from Mir, being able to capitalize on the advantage that he got from level 1. You know, while the response was still there on the Chiefs side of the coin, they have themselves 1,000 gold in the lead. Jarvan, at the very least, has found himself with a few camps of advantage and sneaks away a Drake there. They can then flip the map towards the Rift Herald, potentially, if they would like. It's up in about 30 seconds. That could be the thing that unleashes Chippies, because he may not be able to get out of his lane, but he can ult while in it.
And he can. Now with the Grand Star full online, it'll be interesting to see how Pantheon decides to set things up. You can see that that lane swap is already going to come online a little bit earlier here for the Chiefs, as the Rift Herald now does spawn. Mir going to find himself a red buff. And Croc making a good job to catch up here in that jungle deficit.
Yeah, hasn't gone for any real extra clear assistance, however, by being forced to go into that boot start for the Predator activation. So it's still going to be an item advantage for this Jarvan, getting closer and closer to that Cinderholt completion. The Chiefs, like you mentioned, they flipped faster, but look at Chippies. We spoke about this. He may not be able to leave his lane, but he can stay there. He's now going to flex a couple times while he ults, and Mir's nearby.
They want to force it and justify that he stays around with the unstoppable force. Cataclysm doesn't find its mark. Won't be able to follow things up here. Bot lane is in a stasis, so no real denial or punishment will take place as a result.
They are threatening the dive on mid lane. This Orianna has no flash.
Shocker's in trouble. Uses a double sums. Does survive for a fair bit of time. That allows the teleport to come in here from Chippies, who looks to try and take out an exit frag. He's going to jump in onto Tien. He hits him with the one-shot. The Aegis is looking to come online, but it will not be there. Predator is used by Croc. Abyssal Voyage to try and turn things around, but it's just not going to be enough here for Chippies. 3 members collapse and he falls on down.
Yeah, you have to say the ideal start here for the Chiefs overall. You know, there was a couple of things used in top lane. They force a Varus ultimate. The teleport comes in from Chippies to try and help mid lane, but it's still going to be Shock dying earlier than that. And like, these things are just going according to plan for the Chiefs. They've now got a 2-0 Diana. It's not going to be a 0-2 like the first game. That 1-3-1 that we spoke about through draft capabilities here of the Chiefs, well and truly starts to come online. And any skirmishes that happen in another lane, Tahm Kench gets there first. Mir just explosive plants into the wall, by the way.
You do get quite concerned when the Chiefs find themselves in the lead at the early stage of the game. Shockwave will not find any value, really denies Tahm Kench for a second. Croc will find a kill to his name, and will now look to find more.
Oh!
Straight through the magical journey, having a grand old time. The disengage is real. Only one member will fall victim.
Yeah, Mir pulls out a magic trick to survive there. Definitely should have died. A Diana ultimate used to try and cancel his flag and drag, but you know, flag and drag may just be the highest priority interaction in the whole game for no particular reason. Still, they'll get the Herald. Even if Mir tries to contest that one with Smite, he wasn't able to lock that down. So Chiefs continue to press forwards with their advantage and with their lead that is growing consistently.
There's going to be more gold in their back pocket to break open these different structures that are presenting themselves on the map, which they have been wailing away at quite consistently for the first 10 minutes of this game. Speaking of which, NeoSurf competition for this game has closed, so if you got your entries in, good luck. If you didn't, stick around for the next game. If you haven't already, go to @OPL on Twitter. Keep your eyes on that and potentially snag yourself some sweet skins like this Malphite one here.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this one. Skimmy?
No?
Well, I'm a fan of getting the skins, but I feel like there's better options. Yeah, there's better Malphite skins in the sea.
You like that new one, right? The Dark Star, the Prestige.
Well, all of the Dark Star ones are good. Like, it doesn't matter what champion, at least it looks good. This one's just a bit of bloody coral.
Save the ocean. Do you think that's what Chipper's message is? I'm sure it's not.
I mean, it's out of the ocean.
I want to see if there's a theme between these skins. Right now there isn't, so I'm just talking nonsense, but regardless, Chiefs will be quite happy with the way this game is going so far in. 3k Goldie to the name, all the kills, and all in the right places. A very different story to start off Claire's campaign here. He is now the one in the driving seat at 2-0-1.
Yeah,
Direwolves have to play from behind.
I mean, truthfully, the Direwolves, I think they just need to hit item spikes and look for fight timings around those item spikes. So you'll always be looking at the scoreboard down the bottom there. Shockwave does connect.
Shockwave lands, combines that with the jungle. The damage, the CC, the knockups, and the shutdown. All importantly, going across into Shock.
The Chiefs emote comes out, knows that he's going to die there, dashes back and forth trying to dodge some spells perhaps, but no spells even needing to be thrown. They're just going to auto-attack. Second Drake of the game does go over to the Direwolves. They have absolute control of the Dragons in this series. That goes without saying here. That resets. It gives Croc a chance, though.
That's worrisome. He steals it away as well. The bullet time comes out, but he's done his job. He'll take that.
I swear, I'm just going to throw this out there. You saw that magical journey from Cupcake. Dragon has changed. The map landscape of the Dragon Pit has changed. There's now a little nook in the top right of the Dragon Pit. And that's where people are warding right now. I've seen every Bard player in the world mess that one up.
the punishment is there. Cupcake will have those Mobies, so we'll be able to play a little mini game himself and collect all those chimes to be the monster that a bard can be. But as you say, we'll need those item spikes. They are working towards them right now. Vital will be the first one to get the major item complete with the Essence Reaver. Shock has the GLP completed as well.
Yeah, so they are getting item spikes now. They were able to get a pick. They used some ultimates to get that earlier on Declare before they even got the item spikes themselves. They got another kill in the Dragon Pit, so they are getting some gold, bringing back a little bit of the gold lead that was blowing out for the Chiefs, so that's important. But still, this is the Herald that they had earlier. They secured the Dragon. There's some extra gold into the pockets of the Chiefs, and they're starting to become more and more scary compositionally, where the Dials need to be able to group up. The Chiefs don't need to.
That's beautiful timing to use the Rift Herald only moments before those plates fall on down. Tien's going to receive that gold as well, and it's going to make his life just a little bit easier. Obviously being able to threaten him with the double globals that his current loadout presents.
No objective on the map though, Skimmy, for quite some time. So don't be too surprised, everybody, if nothing happens. Just a bit of wave clearing, and that's perfectly fine. The Sunfire Cape is needed for Chippies. From the Trundle side of things as well, he's on a couple of component items, including those brown bags that he's got on his feet. But you've got some roaming members here. First of all, the Bard loves to get around the Rift. The Tahm Kench always has that threat as well. So I think more than anyone else, these supports are going to be pretty active. And Pantheon also has, obviously, a pretty long-range ultimate. So if he ever has lane control, things get very dicey for the Direwolves camp.
He's got a lot of movement speed with that Ghost Blade as well. Very easy for the rotations. Everything that he's got ready for him. But there are multiple members now presenting their faces in this bottom river. Junglers have been very much identical in where they are showing their attention, who they want to make sure finds the 1v1 matchup, and this is always what we sort of look forward to, the likes of Katsuri going up against Vital. It's been one of those splits, I have to say, from what I've seen, where watching the ADCs go toe-to-toe has been quite exciting, because there have been so many mechanically gifted players here.
I think, yeah, one of the coolest things about this this split for the ADCs was really having a conversation about who even is the best one. I think at this point, Raze would be spoken towards as perhaps the best, but you've seen Katsuri and his recent form. He's been outstanding, and Vital also had some really big moments throughout the split working towards the playoffs where he was in that contention as well. So it has been, a big part of the split has been the AD carries and the rise of them in that role.
Makes it very hard to really outright call who is the MVP of the split. I suppose depending on who you speak to or what that criteria actually is. But regardless, for the meantime, the objective is present. It is going to be the second Herald of the game. All about controlling the mid lane. Predator has been popped, as you can see the indicator on Cupcake's head. Out comes the ulti to lock members in place. Not going to find much value at this stage though. Tien will jump in, receive an exhaust, clean disengage from him, as members look to juke and jive for mid lane priority once more.
Yeah, they do push them back here, the Chiefs, but Dire will still hold a lot of their ultimates. And then really the Bard ulti was used there, whereas Diana, Trundle, Varus, Tahm Kench, and Pantheon, all 5 ults used on the Chiefs side of the coin. So of course they push them back, but at what cost, Herald is up and available. If you're the Direwolves, exactly as they are now, get priority of the area. And if the Chiefs come to fight you, you win that. So now you just get the free objective as the Chiefs recognize that we can't contest this. And honestly, with a Mountain Drake up in 25 as well, I'm not sure they can contest that.
Nope, you've got those 4 crucial ultimates online that really create this Wombo-centric AoE clap that Direwolves have curated here. So it gives them a nice little tempo advantage to try and even out the deficit. Claw back at that 2k gold lead that Chiefs are quite comfortably sitting on at this stage of the game.
Yeah, and I don't think any one team is particularly scared about scaling or anything in this game. I think that, execution, once again, you're looking at the Direwolves and saying it's pretty simple. To hit the Wombo, you just need to hit your buttons, have the ultimates available. For the Chiefs, it's a bit more delicate. Play the 1-3-1 game. You can team fight, though, if you find a pick. So neither team's going to look at the state of this game 18 minutes in and say we're out of it, or we need to fight, or we're pressured by time to make something happen. This objective, you could look at it if you were the Dials, just counting timers on ultimates. They're going to be the ones to start this off, but the Chiefs are here to put up some defiance if they choose to.
Tien going to stick in the top side for the meantime. Doesn't have his ulti, but will have a teleport if need be. The other ultimate starting to come online here. Jenna Corruption, Subjugate. But still, once again, respecting what Direwolves have as a response and how strong they are in those clumped up situations.
Yeah, and Chippy's of course grouping in that situation, so they'll get the top lane out of turret as a trade. This is going to be one of those moments. You know, if you took stock of the state of this game right now, you'll be very thankful that Croc stole the Drake before on the Ocean Drake, because that's, once again, it's a Mountain Soul. Once again, it's a position where Dials would have had all three, and they haven't lost the Drake yet, besides the Elder in that first game. But now they've bought a lot more time. You know, they keep the gold lead, they retain the state of this game for a little bit longer. They'll get some extra gold with that top lane turret as well. And it's thanks to Crop.
I'll be very grateful because it is another Mountain Rift. And we'll find a lot of value for a second time. Given how explosive these team fights have been, it could be that slight buffer, that difference maker in mitigation. Then again, Chiefs may just say you're completely wrong. We can just out-team fight regardless of numbers, regardless of buffs, regardless of item spikes.
Ten seconds till the Baron as well. We're really just waiting for that moment in a game like this. You know, if both teams choose actively and consciously to play it slow, just try and perhaps catch your opponent sleeping or making a mistake, but Ultimate going to do exactly that.
This is a nice little situation. Tempered Fate will be coupled with the bullet time. Flash will be burnt, and CK will use the Voyage to get to his ADC's aid.
Yep, I like that bullet time usage though there from Vital. That was full trust in Cupcake. Times the Q perfectly, but the flash there from Katsuri will at least get him out to safety. So a flash for 2 ultimates. You take those trades, but it does mean that once again, they look for that pick. They don't get the pick, but it doesn't really matter. They can just wait for that cooldown and try again.
And it is an important ultimate, obviously, for the fact that makes the life of Chippy Zamir that much easier.
There's a Trundle down here. I don't know if I can kill him. Chippies will just ult.
Yeah, Chippy's pretty tanky. We'll get an unstoppable force used as a result. But we're still biding our time for that eventual team fight. You can see that it's in the works, but there is a little bit of hesitation, not wanting to fully commit right now. Out goes the Chena Corruption, the Cleanser will be burnt, so ADC's burning some as a result. Grand Starfall coming on in. Tien wants to push the objective. Won't find anybody. This opens up Chippies to push bot lane for free.
We're just fishing. We're just bobbing our lure in the water, seeing what we can get. We get a Malphite ultimate. You know, we get some spells out of our opponents, a cleanse from the Misfortune, a heal from the Orianna. The cost isn't high on a lot of these attempts. Nothing really doing from both of it, though, is both teams respecting their opponents to the fullest and just immediately choosing to disengage if they go forwards onto them.
Now we're starting to see those 2 items come online, so you can see maybe a little bit why there was that hesitation and why members were looking to fish for those picks, but not overcommit. Nash's Tooth completed here by Claire, adding to the Proto Belt, and the Zhonya's now for Shock, making his life a lot more secure.
But we're starting to hit that point where those ultimates are back up, where the summoner spells are not. You know, that flash gone from Varus means that he has to be much more safe in mid lane or he runs a higher risk of dying. Bard has the ultimate, so does MF. Now they start hunting a little bit more aggressively, some extra control perhaps granted in this 2v2 in mid lane then. Or at least what that would mean is more freedom for Cupcake to leave the lane. If Korea CK isn't there and a Bard ultimate hits, the Varus could die. And so the Tahm Kench feels less safe about leaving his AD carry. Has to be a hover parent.
Babysitter. As mid lane turret survives with a slither of health. Chippies continues to do work in this bottom lane, drawing the attention of Tien. Both still have their teleports up and available, as does Claire, so they will have that global advantage if they decide that they need to utilize it. We have seen a lot of priority towards mid lane.
How very different these games have become. First game was action-packed. There was a lot of mid-game team fighting and skirmishing. This time, not really at all. We're going for the 1%ers more than anything else. That was an ult, though, from Claire. They're looking for the dive.
Well, they're fishing for a second pick. Ults out and flashes to follow. Finds his team to back him up in the river.
Tom Kench
shows
is in.
face. Tom Kench rocks up. Disengage again. 10 seconds on that next Drake.
Yeah,
And
they
Chiefs
punish a
find a fair bit of value.
mistake. That was very good from them. The timing on that, impeccable around the Drake itself, and this would be the third of the game for the Dials if they get it, and it would also be a potential 3 Mountain Drake spike for a Malphite. He's going to stay around, but he doesn't have the ultimate. Makes it very hard to contest.
Mir jumps in, Cataclysm followed up by a Shockwave, but a Devour comes in clutch and just keeps Katsuri so protected. Tempered Fate, a disengage tool, if anything else at this stage. The combo lands, but the combo does not deliver.
Yeah.
Croc, after stealing one, will actually get to clearly acquire one this time.
And the thing with the Malphite, Orianna, Jarvan, Misfortune type composition wombo they've got going on here is Chippy's is going to cop a boatload of damage. They're actually diving this.
They are diving between 2 turrets right now. Shock jumps into a situation where he is incredibly fragile. Stopwatch, or he goes golden, and that comes in clutch. They don't find the execution. Nobody falls victim. Summoners are utilized, but Chiefs will just cleanly disengage and everyone stays alive.
A bit more of that killer instinct seen there, though, Skimmy, at the very least, and it's refreshing, given what we have been seeing for the past many minutes in this game. Lots of attempts to dive now. But the thing with that combo that I was talking about before is that if the Malphite doesn't have the ultimate or doesn't hit the ultimate first, Tom Kench's job is a lot easier. You know, if a Jarvan engages by ulting you, the Shockwave's sure to follow. You can just devour your ADC. It's very simple then for the ADC to stand still and deliver damage until that Shockwave comes. It is a trust fall, but it should be easy to execute for one of the rank 1 players on the server in Korea CK. But if that Malphite ultimate's there, it's a knock-up. It could hit the Tom Kench. It's a hard thing to do.
Well, now the Direwolves come back to this one, and they are fishing for summoners themselves. They want to punish the fact that Katsuri has his flash up and available again. Unstoppable Force is dead. Teleport comes out from Malphite, very deep. He's commanding the respect of 3 members so far.
Ooh, Claire.
Claire in trouble in the top side of the river. Will get shut down. Chippies finds a second. Back-to-back objectives. Back-to-back different scripts. Katsuri on the flank, completely uncontested, using Korea CK as a meat shield, a bodyguard, if anything. He looks to pick up some extra kills from the side. Out goes the scrolly wheel, but the damage will not connect.
Chippy's chooses not to go 3 turrets deep. Katsuri's going to steal away the blue buff there as well. They are going to get the top lane outer turret from that as well as 2 kills. They catch Croc in the pit. We're not too sure exactly how that was able to happen, but nevertheless, they find the pick at the very start, and then they rotate very timely. And Claire was close to getting a 1-for-1 trade, but is it not able to find Shock? At the end of the day, we've gone from no action, who's calm, calculated, measured types of plays, to picks happening so much more aggressively, left, right, and center. Chippy's is just going to try and chase down Tan in this case. We'll be able to do some decent damage there. Follows up with the ultimate and predicts the flash, or at least goes for the max range ultimate, so nicely done there. And then this Bard ultimate, while it does lock him down, isn't going to stun him afterwards, and so Croc just runs at a fast pace, which is all Trundle can hope to do. As Chiefs have just started Baron.
We are seeing teams recall, reset, come back, and force fights. It's hit that stage of the game. The Baron falls very low on down. Shockwave from afar, trying to deny Croc there, but there was just no Mir to respond.
Claire has no health.
Claire is very low, going to do whatever he can to lock these members in place for as long as possible. Out comes the Cataclysm onto 2 to try and set up some double kills.
Oh, Cupcake.
Cupcake dives on in, looking to stun somebody up against the terrain. Won't find it, but will definitely slow members down. And yes, Chiefs find the Baron, but the streaks are coming online for the Direwolves. The punishment is real. The ultimates are utilized. And 3 members of the Chiefs fall on down as the B goes crying.
Yeah, sad B out from Chippy's as he just headbutts his top lane opponent into the death chamber. 30 seconds on to think about what he's done. Now, the Chiefs will get the Baron. They will still put themselves with all 5 back alive into a good position in this game, but the cost is once again high. We're forcing objectives. We're sneaking objectives here. In a situation where before we were only going for them if we had the pick first. The things have really started to unwind and unfurl from the way that this game had started. That much is for certain. Of course, we'll get to see this again. Misfortune ults very late. Orianna's Shockwave was already used at the start of this one. But Claire cops a lot of damage from that Orianna combo regardless. And now while he walks around to help his team, Claire does what he can, but it's not going to be enough. Cupcake hits a fantastic stun and sees the Malphite coming on the flank, so chooses to go forwards. And Tian, by stunning the Bard, thinking that he had a free kill potentially. It is a tanky Bard, by the way, with that build. Chippy's is going to get the flank and then just headbutts him in the face. Goodbye, sad B.
Very sad B. And Claire, after having such a strong early game, is finding himself in a situation where he is commanding the respect of multiple Dire Wolvians and utilizing that Moonfall to lock them in place for as long as possible. Then utilizing the Zhonya's to follow and trying to make sure that whilst members are here, the rest of his team can stay alive and healthy. Hasn't been the narrative for the meantime, but as you've seen for these last 5 minutes, it is just objective, objective, objective. Another Mountain Drake spawns. Cataclysm goes out onto one member, flashes on out. Mir going to use that blast, going to dash back into the pit. Fight takes place at the ramp, and the Magical Journey will do wonders to make them so nimble and mobile around this one. Out comes a Moonfall again onto Free, locks himself in place, looking for the kill. They find it, and they deny the jungler. Direwolf's in trouble. A trade takes place with Katsuri being denied. The Wonderwall, the king of all kings. A shutdown takes place. A double kill is found here. And Chiefs hang on for the meantime.
Shock's still alive and very dangerous, so they have to respect that one. Vital also able to limp his way out of that fight, get some health back. He's going to break the mid lane in a turret. And they're hot to trot here, the Direwolves. When you look at how set up they were for a fight to happen, they not only win the fight at the Baron, they're threatening. Cupcake might have to take a journey here.
Oh, no.
Oh, he's been completely owned by the pillar. And that's a Predator used there by Croc as well. So they're going to pressure for this third Drake, and after that pick, it should be free for them. At least they'll continue to get these objectives, and this game's become chaos. Claire just takes a blue buff and gets ulted. He might die as well.
We have been fighting for the last few minutes here. Damage comes out. Once again, buying time. Able to find a kill in that event.
Well, you got the blue buff, Claire. You got the... I'm sure he's going to all chat worth after that one, but he just gave over a shutdown, so maybe not.
Buff transfer is complete. And the last 10 minutes of this game have been all about fighting. Another objective is picked up here for the Chiefs. Now looking at 3 consecutive Mountain Drakes and making the strategy of just getting in their face that much easier to execute.
Yeah, Mountain Soul will be huge with 3 Mountain Drakes to back them up if the Chiefs are able to lock that one down. Direwolves will definitely want that for them for themselves. There's a lot of tanky members here. It is the Dead Man's Plate Bard. So he's also gone the full tank build. Who's got the Gargoyle Stone Plate Jarvan and a Malphite, who is Malphite. Very tanky, of course. To be standing in front of all of his team. The most important thing here is that the Diana doesn't assassinate the Ori and the Misfortune. If the fight goes as the Direwolves would hope it would, then they'll have a lot of teamfight damage. As Pantheon gets cancelled.
Beautiful. Chippy just completely cancels out what Pantheon was trying to achieve there with his Grand Starfall. They find a double kill. A beautiful timing on this one. No objective contest with still another 90 seconds on this Baron, but it does allow him to get some pushing priority. He looks to try and take down some structures. Cataclysm finds that Katsuri. He has no flash, and Korea CK is on the wrong side of that wall. That's the one he's been relying on. They find so many vital kills. And game over is their call as they look to try and set up a siege now.
Yeah, Claire also currently bottom lane. While he has the teleport, he wasn't going to be able to assist the team in any kind of team fights that happened. It was just a wash. Now the Direwolves, they'll take at the very minimum here this inhibitor. I suspect they might be feeling even more aggressive than that, and they could consider the end. But Diana's gone missing. The recall was feigned and wasn't completed in the end, so at least it'll be a turret trade. But you've got 50 seconds until the Baron, and I suspect there was a chance there that Direwolves could have went for a turret, but they'll go the safe route. They'll get the reset off as fast as possible.
That they will. Bit of an awkward timing for them to find the maximum value there, but as you say, they play it safe. They will be able to reset and get themselves some core items. You're starting to see now how strong Vital is as a result with 3 completed BF sword items. He's got the GA as well to complement that. Make his life a lot easier in these next few fights. 20 seconds on that Baron as they coordinate and synchronize those buys and look to once again bully the fact that summoners have been utilized.
And you can see what Claire's trying to do here, Skimmy. He hasn't gone for a Void Staff. There is magic resistance everywhere. Magic resistance aplenty on the frontliners. He's going to completely navigate his way around those frontliners if Claire has his way. Bard ultimate just missing.
Just misses, but the slowing component will be useful. Vital Does receive an exhaust, but the shockwave does the damage. And this is once again, you know, Katsuri's bodyguard without the flash. Very,
Where's
very
that
susceptible.
teleport going? Claire's teleporting bottom lane. The play is probably to run distraction in mid or go for an inhibitor as a trade. So the challenge is how quickly can they do this Baron. Malphite has already gone back to base here, however, so I'm not sure that he'll be able to get the inhibitor. He's even been altered. He'll get a turret. We'll see what else he can do.
Well, Direwolves have a very quick rotation. Magical Journey out of that Baron pit. Now looking to try and force a skirmish in the mid lane. Bullet Time just collapsing on 3 members. They find kills after kills. They do the damage with the Baron buff online. Diana is gone. The split push, the turnaround of sieging pressure to force Direwolves' hand. Well, they force it. They get punished.
I mean, when in doubt, tilt, push it out was what the Chiefs were saying there. And then Direwolves say, how about we just press our buttons and win the game instead? There's super minions currently crashing into the top lane wave as well. Mid lane now with that Baron buff. They'll just push through this, potentially even just end the game from it. The numbers advantage far too severe. I mean, the Chiefs gave whatever that was a pretty red-hot crack. But at the end of the day, they weren't able to get anything but a couple turrets.
Direwolves claw this one back. Tien diving past the inhibitor. But they are going to tie this series up 1-1 in this best of 5 series.
And that's the way to do it. Direwolves, I mean, consider that they could be 2-0 up right now. Consider the fact that Direwolves started so strong in that first game, and they pick the Malphite. We called it the reset pick in draft, Skibby, and it does the job. Gives them the victory, that wombo combo. It seems like nobody's really able to deal with that just yet, and it's the Chiefs' turn to hit the drawing board. What are we going to adapt? What are we going to change to be able to take on this wombo comp?
And there were signs of strength and, you know, preparation for that, right? By the fact that they were going to meet Malphite on multiple occasions and burn the ultimate as a, you know, disengage tactic. And it did find great success, but from that point onwards, we had that 10-minute window of just fight after fight, contest, contest, contest. And then it became a case of who has summoners, who has ultimates, who actually has the stronger ability to dictate these team fights. And, you know, Direwolves find the more favorable trades in the end.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, both teams, I think, were pretty comfortable scaling, pretty comfortable just getting to those team fights or, you know, enacting their composition with splitting, perhaps. But at the end of the day, Direwolves, very simple composition and very well executed.
Well, that is the story here. We are tied all up 1-1 in this best of 5 series in the semi-finals. Only one team can advance to try and get themselves booked into the grand finals. And for the other, their playoff stream finishes here in split number 1. We're going to jump to a quick break, and when we return, it is game number 3.